In this video, I want to show you how to use this software called Logger Pro to analyze the motion of an object in a video. We're going to do something called video analysis. In order to do video analysis using Logger Pro, you first have to open up the Logger Pro software, and then you have to insert the movie that you want to use to analyze the motion of an object. You either have to download that video clip first from your phone or from the internet and have it saved on your computer to a known location so we can open it up. Once you've saved that video file to your laptop or your computer and you open up Logger Pro, you're going to go up to the Insert tab and go down and select Movie, and you want to navigate to the location where you've saved that video clip. So for me, I'm just going to go to the desktop and scroll down to a projectile video. So I'm just going to click on projectile video number 1. Now the video is in Logger Pro and we can analyze the motion of the object in it. In this particular video, we're going to be looking at the motion of a bowling ball that's rolled on a table and kind of rolls off and flies through the air. In the lower left-hand corner, we can click the play button just to preview the video and see the object that's moving. Okay. We can also use a little slider to move the video back and forth in time to start the video at the moment or the instant you want to start analyzing the motion of a particular object. You can also use these little buttons to advance the video frame by frame forward, or you can advance it backwards. Once you've got the video to the point where you want to start analyzing the motion, you're going to click on the lower right-hand corner and enable Video Analysis Tools. And in order to analyze the motion of an object in a video, we need to mark the location of this bowling ball or whatever object you're trying to analyze for each frame of the video. To do that, you're going to click on the little button that looks like a crosshairs, and we're going to come over and we're going to click on part of the object that identifies the location or position of the object in this frame. And you want to be able to click on the same exact spot on the object while it's moving. And for this video, the easiest thing to do is just clicking on the top of the bowling ball. Okay. Notice when I made that first click, it added a dot which represented the location of the object during that first frame, but it automatically advanced the bowling ball to the next frame. So I'm going to click on the top of the bowling ball. It advances automatically. So you can just keep moving your mouse over and clicking on that same location, in this case the top of the bowling ball, to mark where it was each and every frame in the video. So I'm going to keep doing this until the bowling ball gets to the edge of the table, let's say right here. We could go through and mark the location of the top of the bowling ball as it also flies through the air, but let's just, for demonstration purposes, let's just talk about how do we think through what's going on the table. Once you've marked the location of your object, so you're not accidentally adding extra dots, I would go ahead and click the little arrow, the select tool button, so you can click on the video without adding extra dots. Now, once we have this, if I make this video a little bit smaller, you can see there's a graph that's being made right behind it. So I'm going to actually resize this so we can look at both at the same time. So when you mark the location of the moving object in the video, Logger Pro is automatically making a graph of the positions of the object and the velocities of the object. So when we mark in a video, it's marking the horizontal and vertical position of the ball based on those dots. And when you're clicking on a video, all it can do is measure pixels. And so, like, if we look at this graph, we've got an X versus T graph, or a horizontal position versus time graph, and a Y versus T graph, a vertical position versus time graph. So it's graphing how the horizontal position is changing over time. In this case, it looks like it's changing linearly, and the position is increasing because the ball was moving to the right. And the blue dots represent the vertical position of the object, which you can see that the vertical position over time is not changing, because looking back at the video, you can see that it's moving on a horizontal table. It's flat, so the vertical position doesn't change. Now, notice the time is measured in seconds, but the X position and the Y position, the horizontal position and the vertical position, don't have any units. Because when we're clicking on a video, it's just measuring its position in pixels. So right now, these numbers don't correspond to the reality that the video is taken of. It's just corresponding to the digital reality measured in pixels. So in order to scale the video so that the numbers in our position versus time graphs represent what's going on in reality, we have to measure in the video something of known length. That's the same distance away from the camera as the moving object. So for this video, I put a meter stick. You can see right here, that's pretty much the same distance away from the camera as the bowling ball. And so we're going to go over here and click on this little button called Set Scale. It looks like a little horizontal ruler. And it gives us another little crosshairs. And what you're going to do is you're going to come over to the one side of the known length object, hold down your left mouse button. And if I hold down my button, you can see that I'm dragging a line, and I can make it as long as I want to. I'm going to put it right at the end of that meter stick and let go. And when you let go, it brings up a little window that says, how long is the line that you just made in the video in units of meters? Since that's a meter stick, that is 1 meter. So I'm just going to click OK. And when we do that on this axis, now we've got horizontal positions measured in meters and vertical positions measured in meters. Okay. Well, where is it measuring those things from? In video analysis, it assumes that the 0 horizontal position and the 0 vertical position is in like the lower left-hand corner of the video. And if we want to change that, if we want to change where the origin is, where it's considered 0 horizontal and vertical position, you can click this little button. That's called the Set Origin tool. And let's say we want to put the origin at ground level in the video where the ball would hit at the same horizontal position it starts at. So notice the first dot where we marked it. You can keep clicking to kind of refine where that is. So actually the ground height's probably a little bit closer to here. And so this represents now the new origin of our video. And so these blue dots right up here will represent the vertical position relative to this horizontal yellow line. And the red dots will represent the horizontal position from this vertical line right here. Okay, so you can see the blue dots show that it's a little over 1 meter above ground level, which makes sense looking at the video. So I'm going to click back on the arrow so I'm not changing anything here. And once we have this, once you click through, we've set the scale, we've put the origin where we want to, we can now look at these graphs and answer questions about it, like what's going on horizontally with the motion of the ball? Well, if we have our red dots, the horizontal position versus time graph, looks like our position is changing linearly, which suggests it's moving at a constant speed on the table. It's moving at a constant horizontal speed. If we wanted to figure out what that speed or velocity was, if we have a position versus time graph, the slope of that line will tell us how fast it's going. Well, Logger Pro can add linear fits like other spreadsheets or other graphing software can. So all you have to do is select the data, and I'm going to add a linear fit just by going up to this button, which is the linear fit button. And if I click on that, it asks us which data set do we want to add a linear fit. And I'm going to do that for our X position, our horizontal data. So I'm going to put a check mark there and click OK. And notice it's now added a linear fit to our data, which seems pretty close to the steepness. And it says the slope is about 1.6 meters per second, which means horizontally the bowling ball is moving at about 1.6 meters per second. If we did the same thing for our vertical position, since it's a flat line and the position is not changing, we would expect to get a slope of about 0 because vertically it's not moving with a velocity. Well, another thing we can do is if I click on the variables on our vertical axis here, so I left click, we can either look at the horizontal position over time, right, without looking at our vertical position, or I could click on Y, which shows us our vertical position over time. But notice when you do that, it automatically kind of zooms in on your data, and it starts at 1.12 and goes to 1.124. And so we're just looking at a small sliver of the graph. So we want to make sure that we start from 0 each time. So in order to do that, you can either like click the graph, hold your left mouse button down and drag it. Okay, that might take a little while. Or click on the lowest value and then just type in what you want. So let's make the minimum value for our vertical axis 0. So I'm going to type 0 and hit enter. And now I'm going to kind of drag this down a little bit. So now we're looking at our properly scaled vertical position versus time graph like this. Okay. Or if we click on this, we can go down to X velocity. That's going to show us what's true of the horizontal velocity and make a horizontal velocity versus time graph. But notice once I did that, where did the data go? Where are the velocity values? You can see that they're collected, but they're not being displayed because this graph is not scaled properly. So the first thing we could do is click on this button up here, It's the auto scale button. And if I click on it, it finds kind of automatically scales the graph, but not necessarily the way that we want to, because remember, on the vertical axis, let's make sure that we're starting from 0 at least. So it's going to click on the bottom number, type in 0, hit enter. And so no, we now see our 0 velocity all the way up to about 1.5. If I drag this down a little bit, we can see that the horizontal velocity versus time graph is pretty much flat, which shows that our velocity horizontally was staying about constant. So this is the basics, showing you how to insert a video, mark the location of the object, set the scale of the video, mark the origin, and change the graphs around and get values we want off of those graphs to analyze the motion of the object in the video.